Well everyone, it's December, a big time for all the little bitches who are into constant darkness and unbearably frigid temperatures. Well, unfortunately, I'm not one of those people, seeing as I'm not a goddamn caveman. Yep, turns out one of the consequences of evolving for the Neolithic period means that I'm not very particular to being literally surrounded by billions of dead trees and brown shit grass. I suppose this is what doctors call seasonal affective disorder, aka SAD. I'm glad at least someone was having fun. Well, considering being a lonely, self-pitying loser isn't particularly thrilling, I once indulged in some escapist fantasies by playing a game about a lonely, self-pitying loser. This is Disco Elysium, also known as the greatest game ever made, discounting the revolutionary work known as Sonic Adventure 2, of course. Elysium is the crown jewel in the burning, radioactive, diseased, maggot-ridden trash heap that is the RPG genre. And I mean RPG, not RPG inspired, not RPG adjacent, and especially not Earthbound inspired. I mean RPG, role-playing game. And even then, Elysium sticks out from its contemporaries like a javelin thrown into a porcupine. There's no happy small town, there's no teaming up with your childhood friends to fight God. No, in Disco Elysium, all you have is memories of the happy small town, fleeting before your very eyes. And you don't fight God, you fight yourself and your sick vices and neuroticisms. It's art, man. It's fucking art. It takes your preconceptions about everything games should be, flips it on its head, gives it head, then dropkicks it down a staircase. This game doesn't have combat mechanics. Nah, that's low concept stuff. You want high concept? Try fighting with a personified version of your alcoholism. Skill checks to determine whether a hangover kills you instantly. Real advanced shit. This is Disco Elysium's defining characteristic, which it wears like a funny little hat. That is, that this game is an RPG about talking to people, solving crimes, and getting into incredulously batshit scenarios, which usually involve sophisticated politics and beating children. The skills you have available are tailored to this kind of approach and also straight up double as your party roster. It goes without saying that this game is filled with text and descriptions, though I have good news for everyone who has an attention span the length of a neutrino, which is that the Final Cut edition of the game comes with full voice acting. It's a weird name considering it's the only cut and nothing was actually cut from the game, except some previous voice work by Chapo Trap House, which should come as no surprise to anyone who's read the game's main author's previous book, I Fucking Hate Podcasts, especially the ones who are left-leaning. It didn't sell particularly well. The writing of this game is easily the strongest in the entire medium, although that's not particularly high praise in this context, considering the strongest writing you'll get out of mainstream turd waste is usually whenever Ubisoft tries strawmanning some fascist ideology and accidentally recruits some 16-year-olds into actually agreeing with the strawman, and next thing you know, they're posting VHS edits of gay people being thrown out of helicopters, or whatever it is they talk about on the basket weaving forums. Consider then that previously one of the other acclaimed RPG titles was Fallout New Vegas, which had previously garnered some real praise for its rather nuanced take on the literary genre known as Mad Max 2 fanfiction. So yeah, in comparison, Disco Elysium makes most other games look like crayon scribbles you find on the back of a discarded Fruit Loops box. Impressive for an industrious child, sure, but for a grown-ass human being to churn out the same Joss Whedon tier horse cunt piss over and over year after year, it really makes Disco Elysium and anything else that tries even slightly harder than a developmentally challenged drama class janitor stand out like a Tasmanian devil in Petco. What I'm trying to say is that the game is well written, like to an astounding degree. The prose, the dialogue, descriptions, none of it's ever dull or overindulgent, but it always carries just the right amount of flavor to immerse you or surprise you, or make you laugh at the funny man with the stupid tie, or cry at the woman with a dead husband who you previously harassed at a bookstore. This is one of the best things about the game, how everything is so well written so consistently. Every minute detail or obscure decision or banal choice has a goddamn legion of text backing it all up, and it's just as potent as the text describing major plot points. When you start to think about just how much effort must have gone into writing this hulking thick game, you start to understand why it has such a good understanding of drug addiction. Now you may have heard some things about this game, endless praise from the slimy maw of gaming authorities. We all know these motherfuckers can't be trusted under any circumstances. If Kotaku told me Ted Bundy really committed those murders, I would immediately suspect we got the wrong guy. So to get a really good grasp on the finer aspects of this masterpiece, we need an opinion from a genuine drug addict disco cop. Speaking as someone who is at least one of those things, I have to give credit to something those slime-covered journal feces rags never mention, which is how this game uses skill checks, more specifically how it handles fail checks. Most other games are content with just showing you a failed check or something, the boring cunts they are. But on the other high concept hand, we have Disco Elysium, which not only gives you entirely separate scenarios for losing checks, it sometimes outright rewards you for failure. For example, early in the game you have two boomers playing some ball game. You have a skill check to see how hard you throw the ball. Succeed and you chuck it into the water and piss everyone off. Fail and you throw a softball and get the moldy respect of the geezers. Now this is lateral thinking, true creative trailblazing. Try pitching that idea to corporate shit suckers and you'll draw the ire of every boardroom member, from HR to QA and IRA. So yeah, this game outright encourages you to try every skill check, even the ones you're basically guaranteed to fail, since failing checks can result in good outcomes, or at least funny, interesting outcomes. Now I'll admit I haven't played every single avant-garde niche RPG in the universe, especially seeing as the people who have are in federal custody or in post-Soviet states. But this mechanic is astounding, and I really can't understand why other RPGs don't use this kind of mechanic. Actually, I do understand. It's the capitalists, and the socialists, and the woman.